been a really fun week because we're starting to see things come together. We've been doing demolition and making a big mess at the manor for so long that it's really nice to see rooms starting to look like rooms again. This is the ensuite, and that's our first ensuite that we're working on, and you will have seen last week that we put the shower in. Well, this week we have now painted all the walls, so we primed them and painted them. We have put in this really gorgeous heated towel rail. One of the things that we've wanted to do in the manor is be as authentic as possible in terms of our restoration and our renovation. But there are a few mod cons that we just feel you have to have. And we want the experience at the manor to be one of a little bit of luxury. So in the en-suites and in all our bathrooms, we're putting in heated towel rails and underfloor heating. With the heated floor laid, it's now ready for us to start tiling. And these are the tiles that we're going to be using in the ensuite on the floor. We found these really lovely small hexagon tiles. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a design with the hexagons on the floor so it has that old Victorian look to it. So that's something that we're going to be working on this week. So in our next video, you'll get to see what that looks like with all the floor laid. This week's also been a busy week for drywall, and we've been working on the upstairs hallway at the top of the stairs. And we have now put up the drywall in this hallway, and it just changes the feel in this space completely. It makes it feel so much bigger, so much longer. So it's exciting to actually see the hallway starting to look like a hallway. We've kept this beam exposed. If you remember back in probably our first video, we talked about this beam that we discovered behind the wall. And I really wanted to keep it so that you could see that original wood. And it's looking really great. We've sanded it down and drywalled around it. And I love that we can have a piece of the old house actually exposed to be able to still see. If you've been watching our videos, you'll know by now that we just love hunting for treasures for the manor. And over the weeks, or over the years really, we've picked up all sorts of furniture and decor and lighting and all sorts of pieces. But this week was the first week that we actually picked up some paintings and some art that will go on the walls. This one, I have to admit, is one of my favourites, and it's actually a portrait by Sir Thomas Lawrence, who was a British painter. He painted this in 1823 of two sisters, Emily and Laura Ann, and the original is actually in the Metropolitan Museum. And this one is of three siblings, Muriel, Cynthia and George Perkins. It was painted in 1900 by George Harcourt, who was a Scottish painter, very well known in the UK. And he now has his paintings in collections at the London's Royal Academy of Arts, the National Portrait Gallery. And I just love how he depicts the three sisters and brothers in this picture. One of the things I'm asked about a lot is my collection of vintage items and pieces that will go into the manor. And as you probably know, I have a vintage event rentals company, and so I've collected vintage and antique pieces for a long time, and I have a big collection that I rent out for weddings and events, but also I'll be using in the manor. So as I have so many people asking me about it, I thought I would kind of show you a little snippet of some of the items that I have here at the manor waiting to go into different rooms. And this is my storage space at the moment. It's actually one of our rooms that will be renovated, but right now I'm using it as storage. And you can see that I have all sorts of stuff in here. You know, one of my favorites is this beautiful old telephone that a dear friend gave us. I have rugs and tables. I have lots of silverware. I've had a few people locally who've contacted me and actually given me a lot of their silver platters and their silverware that came from Dorchester, which is fantastic. My champagne buckets. And one of my favorites is our beautiful rocking horse that will go in the library upstairs. You can see here I've got more tea sets in silver, lots of lamps, candlesticks in glass and brass, and all sorts of different dressers. And these are just a few. I actually have a lot more in other places, but this is just gives you an example. My vintage suitcases, which I love, my globe. I even have a replica fireplace that I built for a bridal show and different backdrops. My copper arch that I will be using for for weddings at the manor. And then here's just a sample of some of the chairs. We have a lot of vintage mismatched chairs, different lamps. I have lots of vintage and antique tins and crates. So we have lots of really unique and fun pieces that are sitting ready to go into the manor as soon as we have our rooms ready, which is really fun. And that's the kind of fun part for me, is that I get to take the different, vintage books that I've collected and couches and pieces of furniture and all the tea sets and actually put them into the manor in places where people can enjoy them. Thanks for joining us this week. We're going to get back to working on the manor, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the Lady Smith Manor Diaries.